Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. It's great here. It's a beautiful day. It's Friday. I'm ready for the weekend, but I still got stuff to do. Update on this thing. I heard back from the seller. They have supposedly shipped me a new PCB. So when it arrives, maybe I'll do a little something. I have a couple little somethings planned for the upcoming season. We'll see. I asked for show ideas, and our friend Chris, California Chris, not Indiana Chris, asked an interesting question that I've had to give a little thought to. And that was, if I could travel anywhere in time, like if I could time travel to the past, where would I go? He specifically said the past. So if I could go into the past, where would I go? And I've thought a lot about it. I've put some effort into this question. And the funny thing is, well, I don't know that it's funny. It's a thing. The interesting part is where I would go, I could visit today. I don't mean physically. I mean like the thing that embodies that time, I could go there today. Because I wouldn't go very far. I would go to somewhere between 1800 and 1850, somewhere in the northern part of the United States, or maybe the West. I don't necessarily care too much about the cowboy stuff, but I wouldn't be in a city. I might even stay here in West Virginia, but I would be somewhere in that time zone, pre-industrial revolution. But we do have, sufficiently advanced metallurgy, and we have a kind of open frontier. I guess it wouldn't. I don't necessarily. It doesn't have to be the United States. I'm just looking for that self-sufficiency that comes with a small community with some skilled tradespeople and some laborers and that whole thing. And I could literally get in my car and within 4 hours be in that. I could drive to an Amish community and be exactly what I'm. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, again, we have farm implements, we have small communities, we have some sort of larger, broader, view of the world. We could get on a train and go somewhere different. Not necessarily so constricted like the Middle Ages or even the, I don't know what came before the Elizabethan, before the Renaissance, that sort of feeling, but in a somewhat modern setting. I'm not looking to go to a point in history where I have to walk gallons of water from a stream every day. We have well technology, we have farm tools, we have candles and oil lanterns, and just that time zone, that time frame. I would love to experience whaling in that time frame. I know that sounds completely nuts. Honestly, being a fisherman, I mean a fisherman on a small, coastal Maine fishing tug, that's been a fantasy of mine my whole life. But the interesting thing is, if I was a kid and you had asked me this question, it was undeniably the Middle Ages. I wanted to see what the Middle Ages was like. I wanted to know what it was like to live in that time, and was it really as dirty and nasty and the way we think of it, or was it pretty modern? I feel like it was I feel like, honestly, if I went to the Middle Ages, other than trains, it's not that much different than the 1800s. Going to the 1500s would be pretty similar. I feel like, tapestry and metallurgy was not a whole lot of advancement in that time. I mean, yeah, I think you get what I'm saying. So I would just love to live a little while in that self-sustaining, very purposeful work. Not that my current work isn't purposeful. My current work has purpose, but there's something to be said for work that you do to sustain your way of life and work that you do to keep you alive. Those are two different things, right? I could very easily quit my job today and work any dozens, hundreds of other jobs. Chances are those jobs would not sustain my current way of life, but those jobs could sustain me. And there's something to be said for that. And there's something to be said for living a life of self-sufficiency, meaning that I farm, I hunt, I raise livestock, and that is what provides for me and my family. And I romanticize it a little bit. I'm not naive enough to think that I could do it long term, but I romanticize it a little bit. I have hunted my whole life. I fished. I have done sustenance hunting. I have done sustenance fishing. I know how difficult it is, and it's not something that I take for granted. I don't take for granted that I can go to the grocery store and buy meat, and then I don't have to go out and find it and kill it and skin it and cure it and whatever. I don't take that for granted because I've done it. I know exactly what is involved in that process, and it's a lot of work, to go kill a deer. Granted, if I was living in a time frame where maybe it's muzzle loaders, maybe rifle cartridges haven't been invented, so I need to be a little bit more skilled of a hunter. But in that time zone, that time frame, I would be able to hunt the deer that are walking through my yard. Whereas today, I can't do that. I have to go someplace. But in that time, I could just hunt the deer that I see every morning. So it's not like I'd have to go get in my wagon, drive somewhere to hunt, kill a deer, drive back. Maybe I do. Maybe after a while, the deer around here becomes scarce. But killing that deer, bringing it inside, skinning it, gutting it, skinning it, letting it hang, then quartering it, then cutting those quarters up and butchering it into meat. I mean, that's like a multi-day process for maybe 2 months worth of meat for a family of 4. That's not a lot, from an average deer that I see around here. I mean, if you're not being picky, if you're not being, super picky, you could get 50 pounds of meat, I guess, something like that. They're not huge animals. I would say on average, I'm usually getting 40, maybe 35, 40 pounds of meat, which is, we go through probably, we eat a lot of meat in my house. I'd say we probably eat 7 to 10 pounds of meat a week, maybe 7 to 14 pounds of meat a week. And when my kids are here, maybe even a little bit more than that. So that deer would last us a month, maybe. But, in that time, you didn't eat as much meat. So I would substitute vegetables and grains and all that sort of stuff. I would eat lots of porridge. And so meat consumption would be lower. But I have the luxury of being able to go to the store and buy meat, and I do. Anyway, I grew up, I farmed. I mean, I didn't, nobody in my family had a farm, but my grandfather had a very large garden, like a half-acre garden. It was big. It was really big. And he grew corn and cucumbers and peppers and watermelons and potatoes and tomatoes, and I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff. He grew a lot of things. And so I grew up helping him. He taught me how to farm these things. He taught me how to harvest them. My grandmother canned. My mother canned green beans and all that sort of stuff when I was younger. So I know the processes, and I have experienced some of the life. But I would like to see it more of a communal aspect, more of here's a town of 20 to 50 people, and we do what we do to take care of each other. I'd like to see what that life is like, because I don't feel that, I've never felt that in modern society. I mean, I guess my workmates could be the equivalent of that small town. I have people at work that can do jobs outside of what they can do, and they often will help each other. What about you? Where would you go? What period in history would you like to visit? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again on Monday. Today's word you should know sounds smart is witticism. It is a noun meaning a witty or clever remark. We love our servants because they are so full of witticisms about people of their class. Witticism. Witticism. Obviously, self-deprecation is necessary when you have servants. What the heck?